Okay, Danganronpa. So this is a game that's very special to me. I've bought it multiple times. I have it digitally on my PS5. I have the Nintendo Switch version, which comes with all 3 games and the summer camp. I have the trilogy as well. I have the Decadence Collector's Edition, some of the manga as well. I mean, I love this franchise. I could talk about it for days. But the reason of this video, if you're wondering, I already have a Chute Bullets version of this, so I'm not going to talk about the whole game, like not the gameplay and stuff like that. I kind of just want to talk about the chapters individually. And so if you want my full thoughts on the game, along as, you know, my buddies' thoughts as well, definitely check out the Chute Bullets I did with my buddies a couple of years ago, you know, for, you know, the full game, you know, our thoughts and stuff like that.
Is at its best in this type of situation, which is what I think the first game nails in a lot.
I mean, I don't mind it. I just don't like it, you know? It feels like it came out of nowhere. If there were more hints, that's the same thing that 2 has. You know, if there were more hints, I'd be down with it. And I think...
Not that strong, but in terms of like mentally and everything else. But in terms of mentally and like everything else, he's actually kind of the strongest in my opinion.
So I want to be ranking these chapters as well. You know, they're mainly going to be based on how much I enjoyed them personally. You know, how I was intrigued by the story, the characters, what characters I hung out with during the free time events, or what characters I want to hang out with during the free time events. You know, what happens during the daily life, what happens during the deadly life, and the class trial. So starting off, you know, it's still coming off of the prologue, so it still kind of feels like introductions. So it's going to be teaching you about the game, you know, what are free time events, when to walk around, what you can do, where you can go, and stuff like that. The thing that I love about the first game is the setting, the school. I think the school, being trapped in the school, is one of the best settings in the whole series, in the whole trilogy. And that's because you actually feel like you're trapped in the school with them. You actually feel claustrophobic, not like in a spa resort, a vacation getaway resort, an island resort. In V3's case, you are still in a school, but it's more like, you know, you can still leave the school. Like, it has that outdoor section. There's even a section where it's just a lot of open space, and it doesn't feel as claustrophobic as the first game. So for the majority of time during our daily life, you know, we're just walking around the school. We're pretty much stuck following or being followed by Little Miss Popstar Sayaka Maizono up until she bites the dust. I'm jumping pretty much far ahead, but there's not really much to talk to in the first chapter because it's still pretty much, you know, tutorial introductions and stuff like that. Once you go on to the second, third, then I'll probably be talking more about the daily life aspect of that. But you're trapped in the school, by far the best setting. Again, during the daily life actually is when you receive the motive. So the motive is something that we'll see in every chapter, I think, besides 5th and 6th chapters of the game, and also the epilogue and the prologue. So they're mainly during chapters 1 through 4, I believe. So for the first chapter, Makoto and the other students receive a video of their loved ones, and now all of a sudden it shows like an image where it's like the background is all broken or distorted and stuff like that, which what happened to them. Find out after graduation. In this case, graduation is kill someone and get away with it, and then you get to quote unquote graduate, which means leaving the school, but everyone else, your classmates, die, right? That's the reason for the motive, is family. That's what Monokuma wants. He wants them to do something they will or will not regret, I guess, depending on how they see it. They probably will regret it if they do, because spoilers, if you're watching this, yeah, obviously I'm going to be talking about spoilers, right? You're not going to be watching this and not be a Danganronpa fan or haven't played the games. Spoilers. I mean, don't watch this. Click off. If Leon had gotten away with it, he would have regretted it. Why? Because I think for the same, we didn't get the reactions when the survivors leave the school at the end of the game, but I would imagine they were filled with a little bit of despair, like, oh damn, like what the heck? You know, seeing it on the computer screen is something different than seeing it in person, so there's that, right? Side note as well, each family member, or at least some of them, I think, not all of them. For example, Makoto sees a video of his parents and his sister, but we know that because in Ultra Despair Girls, Komaru was still alive, and she was taken, abducted, kidnapped, whatever you want to say, but her parents are nowhere to be seen. So all the family members, or at least someone important to that classmates in the first game, are taken and are either mentioned or appear in Ultra Despair Girls. Like, for example, Asahina's little brother shows up, Yasuhiro's mom shows up. I saw this when I was looking this up, but apparently Toko has a pet bug, and the pet bug is mentioned or shows up in the game. I played Ultra Despair Girls and have not seen the bug? Like, when did this happen? So Sayaka bites the dust, and because you had swapped rooms with her the night before because she was quote-unquote scared, she's found dead in your room, and everyone thinks you did it since it's the first chapter in the series and they need to make things tense. It's pretty clear who the culprit is right off the bat. I mean, considering before she, passed off or died, she wrote the name of who was her attacker, a culprit behind her with her blood. So, I mean, you don't get major clues like this in like the rest of the chapters and stuff. So it's not pretty obvious who is the main culprit of that chapter. So, I mean, again, it's the first chapter. They gotta make it as easy as they can, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Chapter 1 in all the games, again, are supposed to be the easiest, right? I mean, wrong. So play V3, you'll know what I mean, right? Play V3, you will know the heartbreak, my guy. That is one of the chapters that breaks you psychologically, that breaks your heart, even if you're already attached to those characters right off the beginning. Anyways, she's dead in your room. Everyone thinks you did it, so prove your innocence, or everyone but the real killer dies. It becomes obvious once you head back to your room that there was a fight that broke out because there's a bunch of scratches on the bed, the wall, the floor, everything's tossed around. So there was a scuffle, there was a scuffle in your room and you weren't a part of it. And inspecting her body shows that she was stabbed by a kitchen knife. Investigate some more of the rooms, like for example, there's a kitchen knife in your room that was used as a murder weapon. Obviously, you're gonna head to the kitchen. Sure enough, there's a missing knife right there, and we have Asahina who can testify that Makoto never showed up to the kitchen at all. Mando says that maybe someone tried to get rid of evidence by throwing it in the trash, so we head over to the trash room only to find out that the person who's on trash duty is the only one who has the key to enter the trash room. So we go get the gooner to help us, enter the trash room, where we find a shattered crystal ball and a torn piece of someone's clothing. So we got a shattered crystal ball. We go and talk to Yasuhiro, who mentions that it was supposed to be an unbreakable crystal ball, and I mean, this guy just got baited, so I mean, it's fine. So we head back to Makoto's room just in case we miss anything, and wait a minute, wasn't Makoto's room the second? Why does it say Sayaka's? Yes, so someone switched the nameplates of our rooms. Weird. Kyoko, being the smart girl that she is, seems to have already figured out who the killer is. I mean, it would be a real dummy if you didn't know, right? I mean, but she knows. She knows what she's doing. She's best girl in the first game. Moving on to the class trial. Everyone goes into the class trial pretty much already wanting to, put your head on a spike. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Junko dies too.
Help! Help! To me, godly spear, Gunyer! Why me?
Yeah, she got stabbed by multiple spears and, is confused on why me? But, I mean, we'll find out later. Don't worry about that. There's also a bit where there are 16 spots in the class trial, but there's only 15 students. Monokuma states that it could technically hold 16 people and that there's no other reason for that. That's suspicious, but it seems like a throwaway line. But if you know, you know. Also, Box 15. It's such a great OST, man. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely up there with like the top OSTs in this game. My favorite investigation theme, or I guess my favorite theme in general, is the Koroshia from Danganronpa 2. The investigation theme from DR2. That's my favorite game. That's my favorite game, man. Once the trial starts, it's up to you to prove that you aren't the killer. And using Asahina's statement, you can easily prove that you didn't take the knife. However, she then reveals that Sayaka was the only one that showed up into the kitchen and then left. Okay, a little small detail, not that big, right? With Kyoko's help, you can also prove that if it was Makoto who committed the crime, there would have been no need for him to break the bathroom door. Since the boys' rooms don't have a lock on there, but when you show up first, it's kind of like impossible to open. Yeah, it turns out that his door frame is busted, so it doesn't really, open properly. He has to like wiggle it a little bit to open the door. Only the girls' bathrooms have locks. So the killer didn't know that because they didn't know where they were. So they went to the room and grabbed their, screwdriver and, tried to take off the doorknob on the door so they could break in. An important piece of evidence here is that Kyoko found a written note by Sayaka to the killer saying she wanted them to meet them in her room, which is quote-unquote Makoto's room. So this imbecile probably thought he was gonna get some action, and instead he ended up getting some action, right? I mean, Sayaka wanted to game end Leon. It's not a big surprise who the killer is again. I mean, come on. Come on, man. As soon as you saw the crime scene, you knew who had committed the crime. Sayaka attacks Leon first with the kitchen knife. Leon grabs a gold-colored sword and uses it to defend himself. The flakes on the gold, or at least the color off of the sword, the gold sword, comes off like super easily. That just touching it like leaves your hand stained. So when he hit Sayaka on her wrist, knocking the knife out of her hand, rubbed off on her wrist. She runs into the bathroom, and at this point, this man could have just stopped, let everyone know that this girl is crazy. But you know what he did? He wanted that run back, man. He was like, nah, this ain't over till one of us is on the floor, dude.
It became personal with me.
So he breaks into the bathroom and finishes the job. He gets caught, and everyone votes for him. But not before Makoto realizes that Sayaka originally wanted to game end Leon and pin the moida on him. Leon is executed by, being machine gunned to death by a baseball pitching machine. And, I'll be honest, when I first saw this, it freaked me out. Compared to like the other executions, this is the one that in the first game at least, that is like the most serious. Because it actually, like, it's not someone turning into butter. It's not, a computer being smashed. It's someone being pummeled to death by a baseball pitching machine. Now, I've never played baseball, but I imagine if you're getting hit by these, hold on, let's see how fast the baseball pitching machine, throws the baseballs. Around 20 to over 100 miles an hour. And the amount that this guy was getting pummeled with, nah, you bet Monokuma had that thing on full blast, man. Ain't no way. And it's like Danganronpa 2's executions are way more weirder, and the V3s are like a mix of both weird and like horror, right? Because the first trial in V3, I mean, do I have to? It's probably the most horrific execution in the entire series. Like, it does not get more horrific than that. And that's pretty much the first chapter in Danganronpa. I mean, nothing big, but it definitely gets you hooked onto the game. So for being the first chapter in the series, it does a great job of making you understand that anyone could be a victim or a culprit. Like, I mean, Sayaka tried to get on our good side, our trust, only for us to find out that she was originally going to blame us for the murder of Leon. Like, imagine if that had happened, and now Makoto was always going to be living with this idea that she was going to use him at that. But I mean, should we forgive her considering she left Leon's name for us to find? I mean, did she do that out of forgiveness? I mean, out of her wanting to, out of guilt? Did she do that out of guilt? Did she do it out of fear, just so that someone else? Obviously, she knew that we were going to find her body because we were and she was in our room. So did she do that for us to find, for Makoto to find? Or did she just do it out of panic and she just wrote his name out there and she was like, nah, this is revenge. It's like, you gonna get me right now, but they gonna get you, Leon's and Junko's executions also do a great job of freaking you out. It sets the tone of despair, in which this twisted bear is like, has everyone eating out of the palm of his hand. You literally feel like there's nothing you can do because you're just living in the school under the quote-unquote headmaster's rules and stuff like that. And all in all, this chapter for me gets an 8 out of 10 Monokumas. It's by far the easiest chapter in the series, and it does a great job of sucking you into this world, and you genuinely feel trapped, You were able to walk around the school for a bit. Nothing's opened yet, like the other floors aren't open yet, so you're just exploring the ground floor, and you genuinely feel like you're trapped in the school with them, because never, or at least not until like chapter 5 or 6, I believe, you don't see the outside world like at all. You're trapped in this school, whereas in Danganronpa 2, I mean, you're in an island resort. I mean, come on. And in V3, while there is a school, you are also able to walk outside that school, or at least a little bit around the outside of that school. You feel like you're trapped in this school in the first game, along with the rest of the cast, just trying to survive. And now, 3 of the 15 students are gone.